Hey everybody, this is Tom Richardson. For today's movie review, I'm going to do the film Wreck-It Ralph. It came out recently. Um, Wreck-It Ralph, guys, is a film I've been looking forward to for a while. I'm huge on video games. I'm huge on film, as most of you know. Um, and this film, in a way, kind of balances both of those things. Wreck-It Ralph is a story where a video game character who's been a villain of this arcade game for quite some time. It's his 30th anniversary at this arcade, and he just wants respect. I mean, he's been around for a while, he's been doing his job correctly for a while, and he doesn't get the recognition he feels he deserves. I mean, he's always the guy falling off the building, he's always the guy, who never wins. He's always the guy that never gets the girl. He's always the guy that, never gets the pies in the games. He's just the guy that wrecks stuff. And so Ralph decides, since there's this thing in this movie called the Game Central Station at this arcade, where late at night when the arcade closes, game characters from all over this arcade can go to this game central station and can go to any game they want to within the arcade. Um, with when an arcade machine breaks down or is out of order for too long, the arcade takes it out of the this business and replace it with something new. But those characters remain in the game central station since they no longer have a home. But they can no longer go back to their world since it's now replaced with a new world which links to something new in the game central station. So characters like Hubert and Sonic and all those guys, all their games get unhooked throughout this thing. You'll see them a lot in the game central station throughout the movie. Um, Hubert in particularly is one of the real arcade characters that appears in the film quite frequently. But anyway, back to the real story. Ralph he goes into a game called Hero's Duty where he finds out he can win a medal just like what you can do in the Fix It Felix game that he's from. And he tries to win this medal, and he thinks getting this medal will get more respect in his world by getting it. A lot of events happen that I don't want to spoil, but I will say something virus related in the virtual world, both in the Game Central Station and the other games that appear in the movie, like Sugar Rush and the Fix It Felix Jr. world, and all of this stuff that you'll see throughout the movie, both fictional and real. Real world games and fictional games made just for the film. Um, they encounter this virus that Ralph kind of gets his calling for to kind of prove that he's this hero, and that this whole villain act that he had to do in his arcade game was strictly for the fact that that was kind of his role that he's programmed to play, and that he can also be a good guy when given the opportunity. So this movie, you guys, is about this guy trying to prove that he's good. That he's not just this bad guy all the time. He's just the bad guy for the game when people play it, and as soon as the arcade game is off and the night's closed and they can roam around this game central station all they want at night, he's just a good guy. He's just doing his job and he just wants the respect that he finally deserves because he's been in this arcade game for a long time and he feels he really needs this honor that he's been doing for over 30 years at this arcade. So Wreck-It Ralph, guys, it was just a great nostalgic value movie. I mean, I had so many arcade things and video game things I was able to catch on with this movie. Just a lot of things I remember from my childhood, from all these games I played. And for those who are like that, also, you're going to recognize a lot of great arcade references in this movie. I thought the voice acting was great. John C. Reilly was great as Ralph. Sarah Silverman, surprisingly enough, was a very good um, Penelope Von Sweet, I think was her name, the girl in the Sugar Rush game. I just really liked her. I really liked her little voice that she provided for the character and all that stuff. Um, and a lot of people, as soon as you mention Sarah Silverman, they're like, oh, this woman again. Oh, I hate her, and oh, she's so rude, and oh, she's all this. This film I think will kind of rethink your process on her because if you really think about it, and when you see this film, you really know what I'm talking about. Then, um, she played this role very well. I mean, she fit the part well. And I was kind of telling my friend when I saw this movie, I mean, she has a kid in real life, and I think when voice actors and actresses, have kids in real life, and they kind of know what that audience wants and expects from animated film like this one. I think they go into it with the right intentions, and I think Sarah Silverman did. Um, Jack McBrayer was good as Fix It Felix. I think the problem with Fix It Felix, which I'll get here when I get to the negatives, I just think he wasn't that interesting. But like I said, I'm going to get to that a little bit later. The art direction in this was great. I love the art direction. I love the arcade look. I love how it looked like an 80s arcade game. Um, I had no complaints at all about the art direction. The art direction in this movie was perfect. If anything, it almost revolutionized the way people look at animation just because there was so many great things to look at in here. Just I felt like I was in this world for each and every shot. Um, Great art direction in this movie. The storyline was great. The twists that happened throughout the movie were great, and you don't see them coming, so that's always a good thing with twists. Just a very unique movie. It was just, it wasn't so unique that people who aren't used to watching, films with acquired taste aren't going to like it. But it's mainstream and unique enough that both crowds I think will like it a lot. So I liked how this animated film definitely managed to catch both of those things. Um, I loved all the game, film, and product placement references throughout the movie. All of them were great. They all worked effectively. There was just really clever things like Nest Quicksand, and like for those who've seen Wizard of Oz, where the monkeys go oh wee oh oh. What they did is they got little Oreos in the can in this Sugar Rush game to play these guards who were referencing that Wizard of Oz scene. So I thought things like that were really clever. Um, I love the clever use of real old games. Like games like Cubert, and we see what else do we see? We saw a game that kind of referenced pole position in this. We see Dance Dance Revolution. We see there's actually even a scene where Ralph is talking about how the arcade has changed over time and what it looks like from back then to the present. And we see real arcade games, like things you actually see in an arcade game, like the Ninja Turtles arcade game, Centipede, Millipede, Dance Dance Revolution, like I said, House of the Dead. All these games kind of switching in and out of this arcade, representing that this Fix It Felix game has been there for a long time. It's a classic like Donkey Kong and Pac-Man are, and it was just a really clever way to kind of incorporate that this arcade game has been around for a long time. Um, I loved the game perspectives on this. There's a game, like I said earlier, where he was in this game called Hero's Duty, and they actually go in the first person view throughout the time the movie's in that game. It was just really clever. It really worked. It really felt like you were playing something like Halo or Metroid Prime. The first person shots work. The third person shots work when they use them for other games. And for this game, just very well done. What gamers would want for a movie elements were all added in there. Um, as far as negatives go, I kind of touched on this earlier. Um, I think Fix It Felix could have been a more interesting and more developed character. I liked what they made with him. I just think they could have done more with him just because Ralph was so developed. The Penelope character was well developed. The Jane Lynch general character from Hero's Duty was well developed. And I kind of let the movie say to myself, they could have done a lot more with Felix. I mean, he has his own game. That's the game that Ralph was in. With Ralph being so well developed, you think they would do more with him. Um, and I think they could have done more with Fix It Felix. I mean, I think they could have done more than just the guy who can fix anything with this golden hammer. As clever as that is, I think they could have done even more with that. I thought this movie spent too much time in the Sugar Rush game, and I know a lot of it, with the virus and everything going on, was kind of meant to take place in Sugar Rush, but at the same time, I would have liked to seen other game worlds. I mean, there were so many other game worlds we saw in the Game Central Station. I would love to have seen more of them. We only get to see about, three, four, maybe five. And I think they could have shown us a lot more because it was just a really well done and visual movie, and just really clever and just excellent visuals. I think they could have showed us those other game worlds. Um, and even if they couldn't, let us be a part of them, give us, at least a few shots or so of what these game worlds are like. I mean, what's that game down the hall there that we never got to see look like? I mean, what's the game next to Ralph's game looks like too? I mean, there's just so many things they could have shown us also that, because we were so wowed by what we saw already, I could have only imagined what we could have saw in these other game worlds if the film gave enough space in its storyline to let us see those other worlds. Um, but anyway, guys, I give Wreck-It Ralph a 9.5 out of 10. It was excellent, one of the best animated films of the year. If you love video games, you gotta see this movie. It's just so well done. I highly recommend this film. If you haven't seen it yet, make sure you do. Especially if you love video games, you gotta see it. It's almost like It's almost like missing out on the Dark Knight if you like superheroes movies. It's almost a sin to kind of miss out on it in that way. So Wreck It Ralph, guys, highly recommend it. Make sure you go see it. It's probably one of my favorite films of the year right now.